dogs. That's my dog right there. Her name's Ellie. Great dog. Okay, so did you know that 44.8 million people in America have at least one pet that is a dog? That's a lot of people. I mean, that's a crap ton of people. Anyway, so people have a dog, they have a life, they put them together, and they get a book. Very exciting. So most of you have probably heard of the book Marley and Me by Josh Grogan. It's an extremely sad book, and I bawled. But this book I read is called The Art of Racing in the Rain. And what's really different about this one is that it's written in the point of view of a dog. You look at my dog and you think that's probably not that interesting because they sleep most of the day, but it actually is. So, the main character's name is Denny. This is the master of Enzo the dog. And Denny is a race car driver. That's why it's called Art of Racing in the Rain. It's more like a life philosophy, but Denny is actually a famous race car driver. So, Denny and Enzo live this great life together, and then Denny meets Eve. And Enzo's not a huge fan of her because she fights for the affection of Denny, which Enzo wants. But then they get married, and they have this kid named Zoe, who Enzo just loves, no problem with the kids at all. It's a great relationship. And then, oh, my dog just moved. Okay. Then, Enzo is just sensing something's wrong. Something's up. And Denny doesn't know, Zoe doesn't know, but Eve knows, because you know what? Eve's sick. And as a dog, Enzo can sense that. He actually sensed in the book that something was wrong with Eve's brain. Didn't know dogs could do that, so that's interesting. So then there's this whole thing about dying and Eve, and so she goes and stays with her parents for a little bit because she's just so sick, and Denny has to do all this stuff with financial aid and race car driving, and it's a rough life. It's really rough for them both for a while. And then I have to tell you this, spoiler alert, close your ears if you really don't want to hear. Eve dies. And it's terrible, it's really sad. Enzo was the person that was there with her, and it was just hard. It was hard for the dog, but, you know, it's kind of interesting because it's told through the point of view of Enzo, and it's not necessarily sad as much as it is life, because you'll see throughout the whole book, Enzo believes he's going to be reincarnated into a man. So that's kind of one of the big philosophies you have to know throughout this book. Okay, so Eve's dead. Now Denny's in this huge trial with the grandparents of Zoe, the maternal grandparents, and himself because they want custody of Zoe. Now, who would take a daughter away from their father who hasn't really done anything wrong? But get this plot twist. There is a girl who claims she was, raped by Denny, and that doesn't really happen, and you'll know that. That happens before the trial even comes. But what's interesting is the whole thing is told from the point of view of Enzo. Like, when they go to trial, everything you know about it is from the dialogue that Enzo hears through Denny and friends. So it's really something different. I'm not going to tell you the ending because that would kind of spoil the whole thing, But it's a great book. I think you should read it. Stein does a great job of creating that dog perspective, and you wouldn't think so, because if you look at this dog, she doesn't look like she's doing anything. But, it's a great book. It's interesting, it's enticing, it's intriguing, and I honestly read it in a couple of days. I know I'm a bookworm, but, I believe you can read it too. Read this book, not because it's like nothing you've ever read before, but because it's a great story. And it honestly leaves you wondering if your dog understands everything that's going on. And who knows? Maybe they really do.